In the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with God. It was the beginning with God. All things were made through him, and without him nothing was made that was made. John chapter 1, verse 1 to 3. Who, being in the form of God, did not consider it robbery to be equal with God, but made himself of no reputation, taking the form of a bond servant and coming in the likeness of men. Philippians chapter 2, verse 6 to 7. And the Word became flesh and dwelt among us, and we beheld his glory, the glory of the only begotten of the Father, full of grace and truth. John chapter 1, verse 14. And being found in appearance as a man, he humbled himself and became obedient to the point of death, even the death of the cross. Philippians chapter 2, verse 8. For it was fitting for him, for whom are all things, and by whom are all things, in bringing many sons to glory, to make the captain of their salvation perfect through sufferings. Hebrews chapter 2, verse 10. Inasmuch then as the children have partaken of flesh and blood, he himself likewise shared in the same, that through death he might destroy him who had the power of death, that is, the devil, and release those who through fear of death were all their lifetime subject to bondage. Hebrews chapter 2, verse 14 to 15. For when we were still without strength, in due time Christ died for the ungodly. For scarcely for a righteous man will one die, yet perhaps for a good man someone would even dare to die. But God demonstrates his own love toward us, in that while we were still sinners, Christ died for us. Romans chapter 5, verse 6 to 8. Surely he has borne our griefs and carried our sorrows, yet we esteem him stricken, smitten by God and afflicted. But he was wounded for our transgressions. He was bruised for our iniquities. The chastisement for our peace was upon him, and by his stripes we are healed. All we like sheep have gone astray. We have turned everyone to his own way, and the Lord laid on him the iniquity of us all. He was oppressed and he was afflicted, yet he opened not his mouth. He was led as a lamb to the slaughter, and as a sheep before its shearer is silent, so he opened not his mouth. Isaiah chapter 53, verse 4 to 7. When Jesus instituted the Lord's Supper, it was no coincidence that he did so during the Passover feast. The communion is a New Testament equivalent of the Jewish Passover, the feast that commemorated the freedom of the Hebrew nation from Egyptian bondage. While the Passover feast called to remembrance a physical emancipation, this feast memorializes the freedom we can receive from the spiritual bondage of sin and death through the crucifixion of Jesus Christ. Why is Christ's crucifixion so important? Because in him we have redemption through his blood, the forgiveness of sins according to the riches of his grace. Ephesians chapter 1, verse 7. Jesus commanded us, "This do in remembrance of me."